Hi, and welcome back to Community Collab 360. I am Vanessa Crowley. I am the editor of the North Bay Review. I am here with Travis Couture, and he is running for representative of the 35th District. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running.
Yeah, happy to be here. Was elected in 2022, so this just getting to the end of my first term. It's been a blast. It's a lot of hard work, but it's fun. And I'm running because I feel like, it's the same reason I ran last time. I felt like I had something to offer for our community. Even though we're a rural community, we still have many of the same problems that urban communities have, just on different scales, and sometimes with less resources to tackle those problems. And so I've been working hard fighting for rural communities, fighting for the 35th District, for Mason County, and even here in Allen, fighting for the things that we need. And I very passionately care about what people say, what all my constituents say, no matter what their beliefs are. And I tried my very best to advance those goals so that we can have better lives.
And we sure appreciate that. Tell us a little bit about your background and what journey brought you to this place in life.
Yeah, so unlike my seatmate who was basically born in the dirt here in Allen, I am a transplant. I'm from the Midwest. I came out here with the United States Navy, so okay. I served on submarines, USS Alabama and Nebraska.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you. And I loved it out here. And how could you not? We live in one of the most beautiful places on earth. Clean air, clean water, forests, trees. Especially here in the 35th and especially Mason County, we are one of the premier gateways to recreation in our state.
Yeah, for sure.
We're right at the foot of the Olympic National Forest and the Olympic Mountains and the Puget Sound and the Hood Canal. A lot of people come here for tourism reasons, but we also have really great industries, history, timber industry that we work very hard to protect, and also some of the best shellfish in the entire world. So there's a lot to be proud of.
Yes, that's awesome. I know I've gone up to the Olympics and done some hiking and done some crabbing out in the Sound, and it's definitely the best of both worlds. What has been your biggest inspiration in life?
My biggest inspiration? Honestly, my kids. I feel like, and probably most parents would maybe say something like this, that when my kids were born, I couldn't imagine that I would love something as much as I do when I first saw them and they took their first breaths. And obviously, most parents would do anything to protect their kids and to make sure that they had a better life than they had. I focus a lot on that, and it changed my life greatly in a positive way. And I think seeing them grow up and seeing them do some of the same things that either I did as a kid, and even seeing some of their failures, and just seeing the growth that they have throughout their life is kind of an inspiration to me. And it also informs a lot of the work I do in the legislature. So I serve on the Appropriations Committee, which is our state budget. I'm the assistant ranking member of that committee, which is a leadership position for the state budget. And I also am the assistant ranking member of the Human Services Youth and Early Learning Committee.
Oh, wow.
So anything involving childcare, early learning programs, social services, juvenile justice, anything involving kids. And then I'm also a member of the K-12 Education Committee in the House. And so almost anything to do with children and families, I involved myself in those things in Olympia, and I tried to advance the ball down the court to make sure that families and children are getting what they need, especially those families and children that are, least fortunate or most at risk.
Well, and they say that, the next generation and the children are our future. And so pouring into them is something that's so important. What is your vision for the community?
Yeah, COVID was hard on a lot of us, but really it was devastating for children, not just in school, but in a lot of other ways as well. One of the fears that I have right now, and even though we've come out of COVID, we still see a lot of the lingering effects on our society. We have record high amounts of loneliness, not just with kids, but with adults as well. Record high amount of substance abuse, mental health and behavioral health issues. It's a huge problem in our state. And I think that this newest generation of kids is probably, to a degree, less fortunate or less well off than previous generations. They're not starting on the same foot many of us have. And I was kind of a latchkey kid. I spent a lot of time on my bike and swimming and outdoors. But a lot of times kids now are retreating. They're retreating to doom scrolling on their phones, screen time, false realities that they can retreat to that aren't real life. And they retreat from important critical relationships, not just with their friends, but it could be later on in life romantic relationships as well. It's harder than ever for our newest generation to achieve home ownership. It's harder than ever for them to have an entry level into the stock market. And as someone with 4 kids, one of which just graduated North Mason High School this year, I'm worried, where our youngest generation of kids who are just now entering the job market, if they can find a job, if they will get enough pay to survive, just enough to get the basics, the necessities of life, they'll be able to find housing. One of the big issues here in the 35th District is, as a rural community, we don't have a lot of additional housing. It's a problem I know me and my seatmates are very interested in tackling. But we don't want to educate our kids and raise them and bring them up and then not have an option for them to remain in our community. And as a parent, that worries me. Especially if we're breeding our talent here, our homegrown talent, and then we ship it off to somewhere else because we don't have enough opportunities for whether it be housing or jobs or whatever it may be. So we focus a lot on economic development and infrastructure, things that rural communities desperately need. They either need it or they need it fixed because it's old. And those things help build housing. They help attract new industries and jobs so that we can keep more of our kids here if they so choose. There's a lot of work to be done there, but there is a stunning rise in fentanyl deaths amongst at-risk kids in our state, oftentimes babies and toddlers. That's something I'm very passionate about. At the end of the day, my vision for not only our district but our hometown here in Allen is that we keep the the nostalgic things that we know will make families and kids better, making sure that we have a community, that we allow opportunities, frankly, that we didn't have a lot of during COVID, for people to get out and talk to each other, for them to interact on a human level with each other, to get outdoors, to go do all of the things that we have here that really go underutilized. And those are the policies that I'm trying to help advance. And at the same time, we got to make the cost of living more bearable here. Because if the cost of living is better, we have more opportunities for families and kids. And at the same time, you don't want less time with your kids as a parent. You want to have more time with your kids. If everything is so expensive, you end up working yourself to death and you burn out. And nobody wants that. And so those are the things, that's kind of my overall vision. We want lower cost of living, more accountability and public safety. We want to stop crime so people feel safe where they live. And then, also look to elevate our families and our kids because they are our next generation. Our next generation of workers, and they're going to be the ones that bring us to Mars. They're going to be the ones that do a lot of things that we couldn't imagine, but we have to make sure that we don't break their legs out of the gate.
Well, I can really appreciate that because I also have a child that just graduated and one that is next year. And so I have seen that same thing firsthand about, we were all locked away during those COVID years. And I feel like it really did, stunt social growth within. I've seen it in my kids and with their friends. And I think that, granted, we're coming out of it, but like you said, there's just so much. I mean, people are addicted to getting likes on Facebook versus having that interaction with the human connection. So I really appreciate that. Having 4 kids, I only have 2, and I go crazy sometimes. Having 4, how do you keep yourself grounded, and what do you do on a personal level to fill your bucket?
Yeah, I think I jokingly tell my friends that who don't have kids and are thinking about it, like, never have more kids than you have hands, because after 2 it gets harder and harder to kind of keep up with everything, and especially if they're active and they have different extracurricular activities, then it's really a teamwork between you and your spouse to make sure that you're still giving them all the same love and opportunities, so it's hard, and so a lot of my time is spent with kids or with family, but other than work. But at the same time, one of the things that I really like to do, I play ice hockey, and actually it's kind of funny. One of my seatmates, Drew McEwen, he's on the same hockey team as me. We play down at the ice center in Bremerton, and we pack up our gear and we play like once or twice a week, and it's a recreational league, but it's fun because after politics can be a contact sport in itself, and so it's really good to hit the ice and maybe hit somebody once in a while to get the aggression out and get a good sweat in. And this job, you can be running around like crazy a lot, but at the same time you don't really always find the time for your own self, for exercise or a good diet or whatever it may be. So finding those little things and going to play hockey is one of the things I really love to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Physical activity is always good. I always encourage that. What's one lesson in life that you wish everyone could understand? Lesson you've learned, maybe you've experienced. And
I don't think I would be, maybe most people wouldn't hear this, but I don't think I personally would be where I'm at if I didn't have a love for reading. As a kid, I had my nose in the books all the time, and as a result, I didn't grow up rich or well off or any of that, but I managed to go into the military and successfully do that, and get a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in business, and run for office and win, and doing critically important things for the state of Washington and our district. And I don't think I would be able to do any of those things if I didn't have a love for learning new things and have a curious mind. And if I didn't keep my nose in the books. And I preach this in K-12 a lot, that when the reason why only half of the kids in Washington State can, roughly a quarter of the kids in Washington State can do math at grade level is because if you can't read the question, you can't do the math. And only half of the kids in Washington State can read at grade level. And I think that's the bigger problem. If you're able to read, you're able to lift yourself out of any circumstance, and able to comprehend those things. That's a lesson. If any kid were listening and they think that, well, I'll never attain those goals. I told myself those things at a young age, that I'll never amount to a whole lot because I was born in these circumstances. That's not true. You can do a lot of things to lift yourself out of those circumstances. Keep your nose in the books. And, some people say work hard, but I would also say don't retreat from things. When they will be hard, and they're maybe even harder for these young kids, young adults now, than they were for us in different ways. But don't just because it's hard and maybe the system is rigged or stacked against you, don't retreat from the things that make you a human being. Don't retreat from personal relationships. Don't retreat to screens and false realities and doom scrolling your phone. Lean into those things and keep trying and keep working at it. There are people that care to make that better for that next generation. But in the meantime, we don't want to see higher rates of depression, suicide ideation, mental health issues, and all of the other health issues that can come along with what's happening as well. And so don't give up. And you can be whatever. They say follow your dreams, you could do whatever you want. And sometimes those dreams shift, or sometimes people have different skills that complement different things. But you're not bound by your circumstances, that you can do more. And I think it starts with, honestly, just have a mind that, wants to learn more and keep your nose in the books.
So dream big and have a love of learning and knowledge, attaining, and perseverance, and asking for help when needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So speaking of dreams, do you have any big dreams? What are your personal dreams? Personal dreams, goals, whatever.
My personal goal, at least the near term, is some of the things we already discussed. There's a lot of problems in our society, and honest people, good people can disagree on some of the solutions, but the solutions are there, and sometimes those solutions are easier than people think. And my ultimate goal is to make progress. I want to make progress on those things to make our lives better. That's more of a professional goal, I suppose. And a personal goal would be, the only thing I can think of is I just want to be the best dad that I can. My oldest just graduated. My youngest, I just taught how to ride a bike. And, we kicked the training wheels off, and I had this kind of gut punch moment that this is the last time I'll teach one of my kids how to ride a bike. And so they grow up fast, and my youngest is already 7. It feels like he was born yesterday. And you don't want to miss those times.
For sure.
And for the adults, and I do this a lot too. I dive into my work and I focus on my work, and then later regret what I've missed. What really is important.
Yeah.
And don't burn yourself out, and don't feel like whatever job you have that maybe has high demands of you, that's the end. It's there's a whole nother life, and sometimes, as what I've learned in my adult life, especially more recently, is sometimes you got to take risks. You got to believe in yourself and take a risk and try to figure out what is actually important to you. Is it making a lot of money, or is it your work-life balance, the time you spend with your family? Those are questions I think people are often too busy to even ask themselves anymore. Yeah. I think COVID, actually, that was maybe one of the silver linings of COVID, is people were locked in their homes and they had time to sit and think about, what their career was and what their job and the time they spent doing it. And maybe they didn't have the time to think about that before. And a lot, as a result, the workforce and the economy has changed forever.
Yeah.
But for adults to continue to be mindful about those things, because you only get one shot with your family.
Yeah.
And then it's gone. You don't
blink and they're grown.
You don't get to hit a reset button or a redo, and the photos and the videos won't cut it. Those are good memories, but better if you're in the picture. For sure.
Well, thank you for joining us. I definitely think that we learned a little bit about you, and I'm really glad you were here. Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the little bell. 風を集めて